office is on Sam Rittenberg in West Ashley, kind of like right near the Kickin' Chicken, if you guys know where Kickin' Chicken is. Princeton is, you know, my CEO took over the company from his dad about 2 years ago, so it's kind of like a startup, a 35-year-old startup is what we call it. Super intelligent guy, doing some great things in the industry. We're ranked in the top 1% nationally for customer service. Constantly, we're in like, you know, have like the second or the third lowest rates in the nation for commercial loans. But everybody here is like kind of like into the investing world. That's how I met Santa, by going on Tuesdays to the Denny's and the IHOP. So I decided to talk to you guys a little bit tonight about renovation lending. A lot of homeowners. Any homeowners in here? How many people have a home and also have an investment property? All right, that's awesome. So how many, you know, there's a lot of property out there that, especially in the Charleston area, you know, I know a little bit more about me. Like, I used to be a realtor in Charleston for 10 years. I've lived here for 20 years. Had a lot of deals go through where I was kind of relying on a lender to help get somebody qualified, and I really felt like they just, if it wasn't like a layup, like they just weren't interested. And I had these guys that, you know, you got people that you're trying to sell the homes for, and you got these other buyers that are trying to get in the homes, and you know, it seemed to me like everything for those folks were in place for them to purchase something. Especially like once you go to somebody else and the other person's able to get them done, and you're like wasted 30, 40 days, and you're trying to figure out why the first guy couldn't get them done, you know. So it kind of struck a nerve with me, and when it was time for me to go back into real estate, I decided that I was going to become a lender, because I never was able to close like 10 deals in a month as a realtor, and now I'm able to put like 10 families in a home like in a month. It's just like a much more rewarding job for me. And I'm really able to, you know, it's nice, like, I'm not afraid to, like, go the extra mile, help people, like, fix their credit, or do whatever it takes so that, like, 30, 60, 90 days down the road, like, we're going to get you in a house, you know. I feel like everybody deserves that fair shot. So in Charleston, there's obviously a lot of fixer-uppers. A lot of other lenders will tell you they don't really like doing these loans because they're a pain in the ass, and they are a pain in the ass, I'm not going to lie, but they're perfect for like somebody like potentially like first-time home buyer, or somebody who just doesn't have a bunch of cash in the bank and they still want to like own investment properties. There's now an opportunity for you guys to do that. So what is a renovation loan? There's 3 different kinds of renovation loans that are out there. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of like the 203K. So there's 2 different kinds of 203K. There's a 203K limited and a 203K standard. 203K limited, you're only allowed to borrow up to $35,000 for the repairs. If it's over $35,000, then you go into the standard. Sorry, I'm not like a big public speaker, so I'm gonna trip my way through this thing. Yeah, I mean, basically, if you guys watch a lot of TV, you see like, you know, the do-it-yourself, like fix and flip this house, like renovations are kind of like taking over. There's a lot of old property out there that, you know, a lot of diamonds in the rough is like what I like to call them. And a lot of times it doesn't take much more than like 10 or 15 grand to make it livable so that you can sell it or flip it, you know. This program isn't necessarily designed for people to flip property. Because you have to hold the mortgage for 6 months. Okay, so let's say you like close on the house within the first 30 days. You're going to get the repair guys in there. They can take, through 203K, they can take up to 12 months to finish the house. And through this Fannie Mae program, you get up to 6 months to finish the house. One like really cool thing about that is that you can finance your payments until you are moved into the house, you know, or until the house is complete and you have like a tenant in there, or however you want to use it.
Can you explain that, please?
Which part?
You can finance. You're just talking about you can finance the payments for the window.
Right. So let's say you close on the house, you've got all this work lined out, and the contractor's telling you it's going to take about 5 months before they're finished.
Okay.
So let's say your mortgage is $1,000 a month. That 5 months, that $5,000, you can actually roll it into the loan. So they give you, and I'll get to it, but they give you a certain amount of money that you can use towards like renovations. That $5,000 would actually like come out of that pool of money that you're allowed to use. So that's how that works. Okay, and with the 203K, you can do 12 months. With the Fannie Mae, you can do 6 months. Let's see, where are we? So, like, what are the guidelines? Like, what makes you eligible? For the 203K, it's kind of just like a regular FHA loan. You can put 3.5% down. You only need a 620 credit score, which is pretty low. The big kicker with the 203K loan, or the 203K products, is that it has to be owner occupied. Okay, so not everybody raised their hand when I asked if you're a homeowner. So if you're looking for something that you can get cheap, put some work into it, you would want to live in there, the 203K might be like the avenue for you. But it kind of just depends on how much the repairs are. You know, I mean, there's a lot of different factors that go into it. But for example, let's say you bought a home for $50,000. The home needed $50,000 worth of work, but the home only appraised for $95,000 as a finished product. There's a big difference there. The 203K loans will actually let you go and finish that house, even though it's more than what it's appraised for. With 203K, you can go up to like 110%, technically. They call that the ARV. It's like the after repair value. With Fannie Mae's product, it's only 75% of the value, finished product.
Josh, what is max LV? What does that mean?
Loan to value ratio.
Loan to value ratio?
So your max, like when it's saying like 96 or yeah 96.5, like if you're gonna purchase, that's the 3.5% that you're putting down, and you can finance the rest.
Okay.
So like loan value is 96.5% because
Of
you only put of the purchase price because you only put 3.5% down.
Okay.
So you're financing, you know, the rest of that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and if anybody has any questions, just shout out.
Josh, when you said owner occupied, I mean, that doesn't have to be your only home, right? I mean, if you have rentals.
You have to live.
Can you still live in that house while you're renting?
You can live if you use that FHA product, they expect you to live in that house when it's finished. Okay?
As a primary resident.
As a primary
Or
residence.
how long?
For us, it's only 6 months.
Okay.
So there's like, you know, a couple of like cool little things like FHA will allow that for you to go over like 110%. Fannie Mae doesn't. Fannie Mae, they're telling you if you buy a house for $50,000 and it costs $50,000 in repairs, you can't exceed that 75% ARV threshold. So if you went through Fannie Mae, you would have to put 25% down in that same scenario to have, you know, the same finished product. It's not, there's not a lot of leeway there, but you can still do a lot with like 75% ARV, you know, especially compared to like a lot of other different forms of like investment money, like the hard money guys. They usually only want to give you like 65 to 70%. And you know, Fannie Mae is not a bad option. It's a conventional loan. The PMI will fall off at 78%. The FHA loan, that's going to carry on through the duration of your loan. Any FHA loan, if it's 203K or, you know, it used to fall off at the 20%, but now they recently changed it and it'll stay on for the duration of your loan. So at some point down the road, you're going to need to refinance that, and it's going to end up costing you more money, you know, out of pocket. So what types of properties are eligible for the 203K? Primary residence, you can do 2 to 4 units, but you have to be living in one of, you know, like say the 4 units. You know, so you can still use it for duplexes, you can use it for quadplexes. With Fannie Mae's program, you can't use it for duplexes, triplexes, quadplexes. You can only use it for your primary, for a house or for a condo.
Would you need to live in one of the duplexes, or would you FHA?
Yes. You have to own or occupy.
Yeah.
So that's the big difference. But that's why I love, you know, so now we're getting
What
into
does SFR attached mean, the second one?
single family residence, attached and detached. So,
Townhomes as well.
right.
And what's PUD shop? What is that?
PUD, PUD,
Yeah,
it's just short for planned urban development.
what is that?
It's like Daniel Island, you know, where it's like cookie cutter kind of
Okay.
like neighborhood versus like you know, a manufactured home that's like out in the middle of nowhere on John's Island. Like that's not going to work for this. You know, they're getting a lot smarter when it comes to, after 2008 they kind of revamped like the whole process of getting approved, and it's not just your credit score, it's not just your assets, it's like this whole scorecard that they accumulate throughout, you know, how much, you know, if the home appraises like $20,000 more than what you're purchasing it for, then that helps you out, we can get you a lower rate, it affects your pricing, you know, all these like different factors kind of like accumulate to create like your score, essentially, and that's what decides whether or not you would be approved or not approved. Now, when you guys are you guys like kind of shopping for yourselves, or are you kind of trying to learn like how you can sell these properties to like other people? You know, I mean, there's a couple of different good things that you guys can get out of this. In particular, like I was talking about this. Oops, I skipped it. So what makes these properties eligible for 203K? It can't be new construction. It has to be at least a year old. It says properties that are currently boarded up or condemned or something, but in Charleston they're a little more prominent than I think like a lot of other places, and I've seen homes with boards on the windows like turn into like diamonds in the rough, you know. So I don't necessarily like rule those out specifically. And you can also use the 203K for bank-owned REOs or HUD REOs. Some of the things that you can't do, like ineligible repairs, you can't build a swim, you can't like dig a swimming pool, you can't put in some tennis courts, you know, you can't put out a hot tub, you can't you can't put like a big screen in the backyard, you know, like it's designed for floors and dishwashers, appliances, you know, like paint, roof, like kind of like all the like essentials that you need for the home, because these homes still have to pass FHA standards. I don't know if anybody, so the FHA is designed to keep these families like in their homes so that like they don't go in like, because a lot of people, you know, they're saving up their whole lives, this is the biggest purchase of their life, they're gonna go in and buy this home, then all of a sudden like the roof caves in and they're like out of luck, you know, because they don't have money for that. So FHA, it has to be like, there's an FHA inspector or appraiser that's gonna go in there, gonna make sure that like 6 months, 8 months down the road, like these people aren't dealing with, you know, like a leaky roof or crummy appliances or anything like that, because the goal is to keep them in the loan and not default on the loan. So these are like all the kind of things that they've implemented since the meltdown in 2008. And then now we're getting into this Fannie Mae home style loan. Does anybody have any questions about the 203K?
Can you combine it with your mortgage for the house too?
Like add an additional mortgage?
Like for example, I'm just making something up. I have to buy something, let's say for 50,000, don't have any money, whatever.
Yeah.
Just put whatever down, 10% or whatever, and then I want to do 50,000 in repair, and then I sell it for 200 or whatever. With that loan, there's two loans, like one for the mortgage and one for repair. You can combine those, right?
So it's actually just one loan.
Yeah, and then we can still wait till the repairs are done with the payments, right?
You start making payments, like, so you'll close, and it'll be like, essentially the investment money and the purchase money. It's one single closing, and then that money gets like dispersed to a contractor. It could be a project manager, and there's, I'm not trying to get like too detailed, but there's some more, like having like having a certified HUD consultant like go through. There's only like 3 of them in the state of South Carolina. So that's kind of like a pain in the ass if you're trying to do one of these like FHA loans, because you gotta wait, like who knows, it could be a month, it could be 2 months until this guy's able to like get down here. And in the meantime, you could be missing out on like these deals that you're ready to like pull the trigger on, So,
But I mean, you only have the monthly payments after it's done. That's what I meant.
I'm sorry?
So you close on the house, and 5 months later, when the construction is done, then I might start making payments, or do I have to start making payments at closing?
Yeah, so you close. Anytime you close, if it's a refinance or a purchase, you get your first month free, and then that second month you make the payment. That's why I like this Fannie Mae product, because they let you finance it. FHA will let you finance it too.
Okay.
FHA does like the 12 months, Fannie's like 6 months.
Okay.
And then, so getting into this home style, like love this loan. I think it's like the perfect loan for a first-time investor. It's a conventional mortgage, so the PMI falls off. And another like cool thing is that once you close on a home style loan, the day after closing, you can deed the property to your LLC. So the mortgage would still be in your name, but the deed could be in the name of your investment LLC. So that's something that's kind of unique about this that you can't do with the 203K. So it's like, what is a Fannie Mae home style loan? It's for purchases and refinances, and this is the one, it's the most flexible. So you can use it for your primary residence, you can use it for an investment property, or you can use it for a second home, like a vacation home. What else? There's the initial, so we're talking about like the repairs. The initial draw at closing is limited to 50% of the material. So this is where this loan kind of starts to get a little tricky, because essentially there's 3 qualifications that take place with this loan, and it's you qualify as a buyer, able to purchase the home, and then the repairs that you want to get done to the home have to be approved as well. And then the contractor that you use, they have to be approved on top of that. So the reason they do this is because they want to make sure that the work gets done and the work gets done right. So there's no like self-help payments. All the structure, so you release the money, you can have like, generally you would probably want like 3 to 5 disbursements. And it's going to be, like, let's say you borrow, or you need $100,000 for repairs. The first disbursement is going to be about like 10 grand, and then you need, like, they kind of check the credit of the contractor, because the contractor has to be able to do the work without getting the money up front. Okay, so you can give him money for the material, right? But he's going to have to pay his guys, and he's going to have to kind of cover like some of the cost of other material so it'll be set up in stages, and then let's say a quarter into the process, the project manager goes in there and he's like, all right, you're doing everything great, like let's release more money, you know, keep it going. And then they do that so that he won't get like his last paycheck until the final walkthrough where the inspector or the project manager is saying that everything's perfect essentially, you know, and then he finally gets paid. So it's like really cool. I mean, it's just great for first time people because it's designed to protect you so that you don't get ripped off by some contractor. Like, it's not like you're gonna, you know, close on a rehab and they're gonna give you a check for 50 grand. You're gonna be like, hey, Bob the builder, you know, here's 50 grand. Can you like fix all this? You know, here's a list of everything I want done, and then you never see Bob the builder again. You know, so like this is designed to prevent that and ensure that the quality of the work is you know, up to your standards.
Now with that loan, can you be your own general contractor and subcontract out?
Not on this.
Not on that. So you have to hire a general contractor and then they get a sub out or whatever.
Correct.
So you need a guy overall to
and it
oversee
can be,
the whole thing.
And like, I'm not gonna like blow smoke. Like, there's plenty of buddy like contractor deals that are going on out there. You know, where people like have little agreements under the table. You know, and like, you're gonna be my guy. It really doesn't cost this. Like blah blah blah. But I'm not really trying to get into all that. I'm just trying to give you guys like.
No, but I'm just saying the
guidelines.
qualifications of the loan. So if I was to have the form in front of me or whatever, I can't put Joe, I'm the buyer of the house, and I can't say, Joe, I'm the general contractor.
No.
So it's got to be somebody else that's the general contractor.
Right.
Contractor is licensed.
Right.
They qualify for the loan.
Right. And they kind of do that to like rule out like the good old boy
Just
situation.
kind of slip the cash under the table and, oh, we don't know where it went.
It's like, we really need $20,000, like, here's 15, like, have a good day, you know, it's like.
So you gotta have your contractors lined up before you apply for this loan, is what you're saying?
So technically, you don't, but I recommend that you do. That's my strongest recommendation, because with this particular loan, like, they're checking their credit, they're doing all this stuff, and let's say you're in a situation where you're trying to get this house, and then you think you have a contractor lined up, and like 2 weeks down the road, turns out that like he doesn't have like any money in the bank, and he's like full of it. You know, he doesn't have like the ability to fund like the rest of the project. You know, he might be telling you that he does, but once they check him out, you know, so in that situation, or in all these situations with this loan in particular, I would definitely recommend like having your contractor lined up before you go make an offer on the property. And because if you don't, it's gonna draw out the process. You could end up losing the deal. You know, these loans generally take like 60 days to close, just because there is a lot more legwork, and this is like probably the big reason why a lot of people frown on these kind of loans, because it's not like a quick close, and it's not, you know, the buyers want to get out of there, the sellers want to get out of there, and the buyers are trying to get in there, and it's a competitive market here. So I would strongly recommend having your contractor lined up, and I'll help you do that. But before you like make the offer, and then honestly, if everything's like lined up and your ducks are in a row, you can close in 30 days, just like a regular loan.
Well, I got another question for you. So
Yeah.
say hypothetically, I found a house I want to rehab. So the house I bought it for 50. It's worth 100 when it's all fixed up or whatnot. So say I bought it with a hard money, or I bought it cash, and I want to refi into this loan. Can I do that?
Yeah.
You can do that. So if you just floated a hard money, just get the deal or whatever, and then I said, I have this house free and clear, it's paid cash. I go to you, this is what I want to do, we could refi into that loan essentially.
What would you be refining for?
Just to get out of the hard money, just like get out of that high percentage hard money loan.
Right, yeah, we could do that.
You could do that. So you're not like, hey, to the guy selling, I need 60 days to...
Yeah, honestly, that's kind of like a decent percentage of business comes from people that they ran out of time with their hard money lender, you know, and it's all of a sudden now they're facing like 9%, 12% interest, and they're like going underwater, and they're like kind of freaking out, you know.
Digging into the profit. So you could refi into this loan. So if you had a conventional mortgage or whatever, anything on it, you could refi into this loan.
Yeah, I mean, if you paid it in cash, you wouldn't really have a loan You know,
if you
but
wanna
like
get
we
your
can,
money
we
back to
can,
invest in the next project. or
yeah,
whatever.
exactly.
Okay.
And like I said, like they want you to keep these loans for 6 months.
Mhm.
You know, all these banks, everybody, Princeton Mortgage, all these, you know, everybody sells their loans on the secondary market. It's like, I didn't know much about this whole side of things until I got this job because I was just doing real estate, and I'm like, go to the lender, you know, but it's like this whole different world of, you know, secondary market, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, what's a conforming loan? You know, that means that it can be sold on the secondary market. So with Princeton, with a lot of other mortgage companies, we're selling your loans on the secondary market, you know, and we need to show at least 6 months of payments to show that it's like a, you know, that you guys are like a good loan. You know, it could be sold before that.
Do you keep it for 6 months? Do you keep it at Princeton for 6 months on your line?
Not usually we sell it before then.
Oh,
Like it could be sold in like a month. It could be sold in 3 months. But even when we sell it, because I'm like talking to my broker, like the realtor in me is coming out, and I'm like, well, we could be flipping properties and like financing like the payments and all this stuff, and like be out of there in 30 days. They're like, no, it's not. They put like a fail safe on that essentially, where it is 6 months. There just has to be 6 months of payments. It doesn't necessarily have to be.
From doing, is there a prepayment?
No prepayment penalty.
So what, if I do this loan and then all of a sudden somebody passes away and I need to move to somewhere else, and I'm in the house and I'm ready to sell it, and I sell it in 3 months.
Finished product.
Finished
Already
product,
living in it.
it's done, it's finished, fast contractor, and now I'm ready to sell it.
Yeah.
What happens?
What's the consequence?
What's the consequence?
It's never happened to me.
It's really better than y'all. Is that like some chargeback or something to y'all? Is that right?
It would. I don't think. I'll be honest. Like, they probably don't tell me this for a reason, but I think you would get away free and clear, and we would get crushed on our side. And not like crushed, but.
Is this where the flipper rule kind of runs in? Because we ran into a situation, we flipped a house in Georgia and tried to sell it within 3 months.
Yeah.
And
That's exactly.
what they did, it took a long time and they really just kind of lowered the appraisal.
Oh really?
They kind of raised over a little bit. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, you could.
It's going for the loan for the price that it should have been.
Yeah. I mean, personally, like I said, the realtor in me is like trying to figure out a way to work the system, just like everybody else is, you know. And I'll be honest, I don't have like a clear-cut, easy answer of a way to trick the system yet. I mean, there's a lot of people smarter than me that are putting this stuff together.
Now, how does it work if I finance the monthly payment? So I'm like, all right, I don't want to pay the first 6 months, and I put that on the tail end of the loan. Like, how do you show that I'm paying? Because are you guys paying it?
Because it comes out, so through this particular loan, you get 75% ARV,
Yeah.
right? You need 70% of that for your repair money, and you're saving that other 5% for like those 5 months
Oh, okay.
that you need. You know, so whatever you need, like for you know, an architect, if you need like, you know, a crew of people to come in and like design your house, like you can use the money, you know, use some of the money towards that. But it all comes out of that same pool that's topped out at 75%. So, you know, if you need that money to make your home payments, you want to like keep that in mind. You know, it also every deal is like completely different. So, one house, you know, they could be in and out of there in 2 weeks. You know, other homes, they could be putting like $300,000 worth of work into the home. And it's, like I said, it's based off of, so it's telling you here, like the loan amount is 484. That's kind of like the top that, before you like kind of get into like a jumbo product. Okay, yeah, sorry. But they're telling you can take 75% of the estimated value, the finished product value, So let's say you buy a home, it's 200, you want to put 100 in there, and it's gonna sell for 500 when you're done. You can take essentially like up to 75% of that 500. So it's the finished product, the finished appraised value that really like grows the pool for you to kind of do these renovations.
Well, do they keep the 5% and then just put it on a bank draft or something each month? Or how do
Yes.
or do they give the money to you and you're expected to return it to them each month?
They don't trust anybody.
That's a fact. That is a fact.
They don't trust the contractors, they don't trust anybody, you know, so it's kind of like it's just like a safer way to kind of, for them to like go through it. But yeah, it would be like on an auto withdrawal, kind of like drafting account. And then at the end, any money that's left over goes directly towards the principal. And if you get to the end and you need like another 10 grand, you can kind of work that out too. You know, they just have to like relook at it. I'm almost done, sorry. Let's see what we got here. For FHA, you need a HUD consultant. For Fannie Mae, you do not. You can just use a project manager. That's kind of a big deal because those HUD consultants are really hard to get a hold of. There's literally only like 3 in the state. For the contingency reserves, and I think I screwed this up on a Tuesday meeting, but it's going to be about 10%. If the power's off and you're not sure if the power's working in the house, it's going to be about 15%. That 15% is essentially like put to the side, and it's just in case you find like mold, or if like there's any like unexpected discoveries while you're like going through there. It's just kind of like a safety net for you. These are the required information that you need for the contractors. I have all this stuff. I'm more than happy to get to you guys. As far as the disbursement, within 2 days of funding the loan, the administrator will make a phone call to you, and their job is to take everything off your plate from the time that you close all the way till the time that all the construction is completely finished. So they're kind of like your liaison, they're kind of like your project manager, they're kind of, you know, your assistant. They kind of are just making sure that everybody's getting things done and sticking to the timelines that you guys have set out there, which again I think is great for anybody that's doing this for the first time, because they're literally going to like hold your hand and walk you right through it. Let's see, 50% of material, we did that. Here's a couple of examples of what you can actually do with these type of loans. This one up top, it was purchased for $155. They put $245,000 into it. You can see that it's got a completely second story, and you can use these to put additions on homes. You can put a second floor on a house. They don't generally, depending upon the neighborhood, you can put, you know, like a garage or like they try to like not have you, they want everything attached to the home, but you can build like a garage, not so much like a mother-in-law suite, but you can still do some other things. This little guy was purchased for $350, upgraded, and now it's worth $775. This example is taken from New York. Our limit here is $486, like I told you. In New York, in the state of New York, it's like $725,000 or $762,000 or something is like the FHA limit. It's pretty cool. What else? That's it, guys. I think that's it. Does anybody have any other questions? Sorry, I know it's like really hard to explain this stuff. I don't know if I did a good job. If anything, I'm like